What is she talking about?
Gratitude.
Oh, I guess so.
But I think someone's going to sit right in that chair, right in front of her.
What if you say her chair?
Yeah.
You can stand up.
No, then it'll be obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, she doesn't know I'm doing it.
She won't.
It's so nice to see everybody this morning, and it's so nice that you made this a priority in your life on a Saturday morning. And I know Susan and the team appreciate that. I certainly appreciate the energy that I'm feeling from all of you, because of course, I can't do this by myself. And I've learned that a long time ago, that I shouldn't even try. So January 2007, I was on the Marvelous Women's team with Susan. Because if Susan asked you to be on one of her teams, don't say no. She knows you have a skill that the team needs. She has that sixth sense about who you are, and you may not even know that about yourself. So give her a chance to pull that out of you. So who spoke at the first Mug and Muffin? Oh, let me think. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She was an impressive. But it was a topic that was near and dear to my heart, so why not? Fast forward 12 and a half years, here we are again. And another topic which is near and dear to my heart, and I didn't even take a breath when she asked me to speak this morning. I said, absolutely. I'd be very happy to. Prepping for one of these talks is always the same. For weeks, I do it in my head. None of what I did in my head you will ever hear this morning. Half of what I wrote down you won't hear. And most of what I dreamed, half dreamed the other night when I wrote it in my sleep, you won't hear. Because bottom line, I will come in here this morning and say what God wants me to say, what you need to say, not what I need to say. I already know about the topic, and I've already done this for 31 years. But what does somebody in this room possibly need to say here? However, what I've needed from this is to do some introspection for the last couple of weeks, and it's been a long time since I've done that. And I didn't realize how badly I needed it. In fact, Pastor Edwards, that was his name on Sunday, touched a nerve with me where he was talking about how he has, re-looked at his life every 20 years. And I spent a lot of time this week looking at mine, and I didn't like everything that I saw. And I've made some changes already, so there you go again, Susan. All right, since it's always Susan's fault. According to UCLA's Mindfulness Awareness Research Center, regularly expressing gratitude, as we know already, it's the quality of being thankful and the readiness to show appreciation, literally changes the molecular structure of the brain, keeps the gray matter functioning, and makes us healthier and happier. Now, who wouldn't want to be healthier and happier? Well, rewind to a little over 30 years ago, and I was not healthier or happier. I was a mess, as my daughter can attest to, my dear sweet daughter over there. My life was a mess, and I was definitely not grateful for most of the things that were happening in my life. Work issues, stress, kid issues, health issues. You get the idea. One of the reasons I had issues was that I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. The ones that made me drink, eat, shop, rage. I did all of the above. You do not have to be an alcoholic to not be able to deal with your emotions, and you don't have to drink to deal with them. Emotions like anger, resentment, fear, sadness. My brain was wired to scan for all the bad in my life, and I was exceptionally good at finding it. We all know people like that, and it isn't always easy to be around them. I was the victim, and it was everybody else's fault. But my life wasn't perfect. And if I wasn't perfect, you had to be. I was pretty judgmental. Emotions can make life very messy. So I looked up those 4 emotions just for fun, to see how gratitude could affect them. Anger, which leads to resentment, which can make you justify a whole lot of bad behavior. Anger has a lot to do with feeling that you're not getting what you want or what you're feeling entitled to. You're not getting recognition at work or making the money you feel you should, and your kids don't show you the respect you feel entitled to. Your dog doesn't come when you call, so you get mad. Sammy doesn't come when I call, but I don't get mad. I just offer him a treat. He comes every time. I believe in bribery. Gratitude, on the other hand, has to do with being thankful for what has already been given to you. I think the Stones talked about that. Fear. Fear focuses on all the things that could go wrong, which is true. But gratitude focuses on all the things that have already gone right. When our gratitude is based upon the power and promises of God, we have an abundance of things that have gone right. Sadness. It isn't being happy that makes us grateful. It's deciding to be grateful that makes us happy. That is so simple. That gives me chills just saying that. Stress. Gratitude reduces stress levels and increases the feel-good hormones. Yes. That's pretty straightforward. It sounds really, really simple. Let's go do that. Well, when I walked into the rehab recovery, I didn't have a clue how to do any of that, nor did I care, nor did I want to. I don't want to be happy for all the things that are going wrong in my life. I don't want to be happy. That's the craziest thing I have ever heard. But there were people there who had actually survived recovery a lot longer than I had, and they had suggestions, and I paid attention because I wanted what they had. So they started to teach me that if I dealt with these emotions with gratitude, I would begin to focus on being thankful for what was good in my life so I could quit focusing on what was wrong. Again, it sounds pretty simple. However, it's not something that's to be learned overnight, and it certainly wasn't something I wanted to do. But I knew that if I wanted to stay sober, get healthier, mentally, physically, spiritually, and find some peace, I'd need to learn. So the question is, where do you start? Well, my favorite concept is keep it simple. So start small. You do not have to find 16 things today to be grateful for. Find one and celebrate that. Give yourself credit that you found that one thing to be grateful for this morning. That you didn't oversleep. That you didn't leave late. That you remembered to whatever you needed to remember to do this morning. The first thing I did was just starting thanking God every day that I was sober. That was a big deal. But I said thank you. Because I knew it wasn't me that was keeping me sober. I would have had a lot of help. Then I started looking for the little miracles that happen every day. And I thought that was an interesting concept to look at it like that. But we all have those. The light that turns green. The penny on the sidewalk, especially in our family, because those are messages from my parents from heaven. That one special song on the radio. We all have that one that pops up when you need it and least expect it. The day I was taking one of my cats to be put to sleep, one of my favorite songs in the world is More Than the Greatest Love. And as I'm holding him in my lap, that song came on. And as I cried, I said, thank you. I know you're with me, God. I know you're with me, and I know you're with this cat. And I appreciate that. Getting a good night grandma text from a grandchild is one of my favorites. It's such a surprise. And then being greeted by a group of happy kitties used to be definitely the one positive in my life years ago. So try to find at least one every day, build from there. Try to really appreciate that moment and the feelings that it evokes and why you enjoy it. And as I try to say thank you out loud so I can hear it, it makes me happy to hear those words. Now you can't compare yourself to somebody else. Thank God there was no social media when I got sober. I never got sober. I would never have been as good as all of those wonderful people on social media who had no problems. And we're living this wonderful life, weren't they? Aren't they? As Oprah says, be thankful for what you have, you'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never ever have enough. Yes. Journaling will be probably mentioned more than once today. Journaling is wonderful. Journaling does not mean that you have to write 3 pages in your book. I've done some journaling. I've done a lot of different types of journaling in my recovery. Sometimes things hurt too bad to write them down. And sometimes all you can write down is a word. But it's nice to write down some of the positive things that you've said thankful for today, so that a week from now when you're feeling like heck, you can read over that and go, oh, but look what happened that day. Did that happen today? Oh, it did. I can be thankful for that today too. Gratitude practice forced me to start thinking about other people. And that's extremely important because I lived in a very egocentric world. It was all about me. I can get there now, even today. I've been there recently, which is what this week was good for, because that's not a healthy place to be. And so I appreciate that all of you are here, and I had to get out of myself this week and think about you when I was writing this, so I appreciate that. I had less time to wallow and more time to notice how many kindnesses I was regularly shown. Just a hug in church in the morning, on a Sunday morning. It's a big deal. Somebody had to make the effort to walk up to me and give me a hug and cared enough about me to give me a hug. What does that say about them? The best part is that while you can feel grateful about the big stuff, you'll be learning to notice all the really, really small stuff. Because as we all well know, there's a lot more really, really small stuff that happens in our day than the big stuff. So that's the stuff that you can start being thankful for. And again, that's the penny on the ground. And I look for those, and I started to expect those. I expect the little miracles in my day. I love them. It helps you get through the times when the big stuff is painful, when the big stuff is overwhelming. Losing a job, that car accident, the loss of a pet, the loss of a friend, whether they died or left you or unfriended you on Facebook, the loss of a family member. A person who experiences gratitude is not only capable to cope more effectively with everyday stress, they may show increased resilience in the face of trauma-induced stress and may recover more quickly from illness and benefit from greater physical health. And we hear that all the time. These articles come out about people with terrible illnesses, but it's all about their attitude. They didn't go home and sit down in a chair and say, well, okay, I guess this is not going to end well. They got out of themselves and they started doing service and they started being present in other people's lives, which makes all the difference in how your body starts to react to that type of thing. It really does. And I know people in this room who can give you stories about that. We're not born grateful. It's a learned action. It's a choice. We decide that we're going to be grateful, even if it's something we don't particularly think we want to be grateful about, because like Kathy said, you'll find the silver lining in whatever happened. You can find it if you want to. You have to want it. You know, I totaled my car. Somebody else totaled it for me. I wasn't hurt. I didn't have to go to work the next day and worry about how I was going to get there, and on and on and on. There's positives in everything, and it is so exciting when you find them. Because no matter what traumatic issues have occurred in my life these past years, there have always been so many things to be grateful for. The family, the friends, the coworkers, the neighbors, the church family who've rallied around. The professionals who were there to help me, whether they were therapists or lawyers. I've had a lot of lawyers. I know a lot of lawyers. I've spent a lot of money on a lot of lawyers. The new experiences that came out of the chaos, like finding myself here in the middle of my last insanity 15 years ago. Had it not been for a lot of what happened in those few months, and the fact that, gee, Mike lived 2 doors down, what a coincidence, and you were having a barbecue and 40 days of purpose, which my daughter and her boyfriend had already gone through, which meant it must have been a good thing to do. And Susan was having a small group, and Thank you, God. Thank you for my willingness to follow the path that you opened the doors for. I didn't have to. I didn't have to do any of the things that I did that Saturday. Saturday was a Saturday. I didn't have to do any of them. I could have just said no and gone home and sat in a chair because life was awful and we had just had our second huge dumpster party because of the mess that the meth man left next door and blah, 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 blah. Nope. Let's go to church. Let's live. Let's get a hug. Let's let my neighbor Mike suggest something and let me follow that suggestion. And I'm so grateful for that. Because I wouldn't have missed these last 15 years for anything. Because of what I've gotten from all of you. And I'm very, very, very grateful for that. It could take about 2 months of practice for something to really become a habit. And that's if you do it every day, and we all don't remember to do anything every day sometimes, so it can take a while. But it's important to remember that on days when you don't see that miracle, that you may be the miracle that God sent for somebody else. And that's really important to remember. That time when you ask for help from someone, you don't know whether or not that's exactly what they needed to do. So don't be afraid to ask for that help. And I am the queen of not asking for help. I can do it myself. And Susan called and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm making food for so-and-so for this, because it's my day and I promised and I'm just crazy." And she said, "Do you want some help?" And I said, my first thought always is, of course not, I can do this all by myself. And I said, yes. And what a beautiful experience it was when we took the food to that family and I didn't implode and the food all got done on time. All because God had Susan call me. And then because I said yes. I've come to realize that gratitude is one way of seeing the silver lining in a situation, because one of my favorite quotes is, "There's 2 ways to live your life. One of them is though everything is a miracle, and the other is as if nothing is a miracle." And you get to choose that. Life does not do you. You get to do life when you make a decision to be grateful for your life. I had to practice being grateful for the good stuff until I could truly, honestly be grateful for the bad stuff. That did not happen overnight because stuff happened to me and I had a right to be resentful, and no. I now know that the bad stuff will work out the way it's supposed to if I keep the faith and stay the course, as our friend Lynn used to say at Thursday morning. Stay the course. Something else that they used to say at a meeting: don't leave early. You might leave before the miracle happens. So count your blessings, notice simple pleasures, acknowledge everything that you receive. Live your life as if everything were the miracle. Decide every day to look for the good in your life. Express gratitude for it. My friend posted this on Facebook on Thursday and had no idea I was doing this class, of course. The journey of your life will change when you emphasize gratitude for all that you are, all that you accomplish, and all that you receive. I don't want to think about where I'd be today if I had made the decision to not get sober, to not listen to people, to not be grateful. This project has put me back in touch with just how close gratitude has brought me to God. And I know some of you have heard me say God and I are joined at the hip, and you're thinking, well, isn't that a little pretentious? No, it's not. I heard in the meetings that if you turn around one day and God is not there, he is not the one that moved. He didn't move. So if I keep saying thank you, he's not going to move. He is right there. He's always there. And I'm so grateful for that, because I can't get through anything without him. Anything. Nothing. And why would I want to try? Why would I want to try to do it without him? It's so much easier. And I get to see where he wants me to go. I had a situation this morning. I thought I was going to foster a cat. And they were gonna try to get to my house before 9:15. And I was willing to foster this cat, not a problem. And she called and said, you know, she had trapped the cat, he was a little too wild. And she said she thought she would go ahead and keep him because I would be able to sit with him. And I thought, whatever's best for the cat. I'm willing. Do you want to come over? No? Okay. Whatever's best for the cat. But I was more than willing to go on that path. And that wasn't the path that I ended up going on. And I didn't fret because she wasn't there by 9 o'clock. And I didn't worry about it because the cat wasn't in my hands. The cat was in God's hands. I was in God's hands getting here almost on time. Almost. So look at where you are on your gratitude journey. Where do you want to be? Are you there yet? And yet, I think you'd be surprised that even when you think you are there yet, you'll find that you're just going to keep going. Because there isn't an end date to your gratitude. You can just keep being more grateful. Do you need to make it a priority? That's your choice. Again, I'll tell you a funny story about yesterday because it made it more obvious to me than ever. I have one of those little Dyson vacuums that's a battery, and it's got this attachment and that attachment, and you can sweep up dog hair really quickly. And I took it upstairs, and I took out the one attachment, set it down, and doodly-doo, and then couldn't find it. And didn't worry about it, it'll show up. You know it'll show up. I mean, it's in the house. So yesterday, I happened to be walking out of one bedroom, and I looked in the other bedroom, and there it was. And I thought, oh, great, I'll go get it, doodly-doo. And as I'm walking out of the room, I said, thank you, and then I went, I didn't consciously think about saying that. It just came out. Which is what this project this week has done. Now I'm saying it when I don't even know I'm going to say it. It's very powerful. And that's what gratitude is. It's powerful. You're taking control over your emotions, your life. And powerlessness won't have as much power over you because we all have powerless moments. We know that. We're all powerless over an awful lot of things and people in our lives. But when we're grateful for those things and grateful for those people, the powerlessness won't cause as much pain, as distress, etc. as it can. If you need help with your gratitude journey, I know many people who would be happy to talk to you, happy to help you. And I will end with my favorite Facebook quote. What if you woke up today with only the things you thanked God for yesterday? That pretty much puts it into perspective. So thank you. Thank you for being here.